Kevin Costner almost lost one of the films that would change his life forever.
This fucker comes knocking on my door. He says, I don't have any place to stay. Can I stay with you? Yes. He goes, I'm writing this story. I said, I don't care. He goes, I said, you're in the back room. And every night he would say, can I read to you what I wrote? And I go, no.
If it hadn't been for his good friend's insistence, the actor would have passed up one of the films that brought him the most awards in his life, including 7 Oscars.
I had a friend who was such a pain in the ass friend, and I tried to help him a lot. So when things started to happen for me, I would get him interviews, and the people would give me a really bad report, like he was rude. He was a pretty good writer, and one day at my home, he started bemoaning the fact of Hollywood, so they don't know what good scripts are. And then he said something about a couple people who were friends of mine.
As much as Kevin tried to help him, he would not allow him to speak ill of his place of work, much less the people he spent time with on a daily basis.
I picked him up on his feet. I picked him up, and I put him up against the wall. I said, stop it. Stop it. If you hate scripts so much, quit writing them. He pushed me really, really far.
It wasn't an argument that really jeopardized their friendship, but Costner definitely stopped taking his friend's work seriously. So for months, he refused to read what he persistently asked him to read.
Every night he would say, can I read to you what I wrote? And I go, no. And so after a month and a half, can I read? So then all of a sudden my wife says, he has to go. I said, why is he? Because he's in his underwear and he's reading to our daughter who's 4. But so finally after 2 months I said, you have to go.
His friend left, but he left his script in the hope that Kevin would read it at some point. This author had so much faith in his writing that he was determined to do whatever it took to get the great Kevin Costner to give him his opinion, even if that meant doing it out of pity.
So then he left to Arizona, Bisbee, Arizona. And he goes, did you read my story? I said, no, f you. And he goes, okay, hey, I'm cold down here. He goes, I'm working at this ranch. I'm killing raccoons at night, and I work at a Chinese restaurant washing dishes. And I go, Jesus Christ. He goes, I'm cold. So I sent him sleeping bags, and he was sleeping in his car. He goes, you read my script? No.
Finally, after months of prodding, Kevin read the manuscript, and it didn't take him a second to decide what he would do with it.
So finally I picked it up and I read it, and it was Dances with Wolves. And I called him up, and I said, he goes, what? I said, Michael, I'm gonna make this into a movie.
All of the disappointment that Kevin Costner had felt about not being able to help his friend, Michael Blake, was behind him, because after reading his amazing script, he knew immediately that it would be a complete and total success.
When you have that situation, somebody that you start with, I was never so proud of somebody. I said, you did it, man, you really, really did it. I said, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna make it into a movie.
Despite the odds, not only did they manage to make it into a movie, but they worked together on one of the most important projects in both of their lives.
And I said, come stay with me. We're gonna turn this into a script. And Michael won the Academy Award.
Dances with Wolves garnered 12 Oscar nominations, taking 7 of them, including Best Adapted Screenplay for Michael Blake, who was able to leave his ranch job behind, get his own place, and ultimately launch his career as a writer, finally making peace with Hollywood.
I had been writing screenplays in Hollywood for many years, and I had met Kevin in 1981. And Kevin knew that I had not met with much success in Hollywood. The work was good, but Hollywood just didn't want to make the screenplays into movies. So when I suggested the idea, he said, don't write a screenplay, Michael, write a book. You'll have an audience that way. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. And I went home that night and I started writing a book.
For both Kevin and Michael, working together on Dances with Wolves meant a turning point in their careers, as the film not only became a classic in the world of cinema, but also set a precedent in the way films are made.
I think what's happened because of Dances is that it's all right to, it's a little more acceptable to make movies about people of color. It's a little more acceptable to make movies about people who speak different languages. It's a little more
use their language, right?
And use their language. It's a little more acceptable to make a movie that's not exactly an hour and a half to 2 hours, so the audience gets entertained and then they go home. You know, Dances with Wolves has proved that a movie can be more than just a formula.
Blake wrote a few more films, which, while successful, none reached the level of Dances with Wolves. However, he nonetheless established himself as a respected Hollywood writer. Sadly, he passed away in 2015, leaving a void in the lives of all those who had the honor of working at his side, especially his lifelong friend, Kevin Costner, who had the opportunity to change his own destiny and that of his insistent friend by creating a film together that would forever immortalize the work of two Hollywood greats.
You must be very grateful for that friendship with Kevin Costner, because he really helped you move it forward, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and I think it works both ways. I think Kevin's very grateful for his friendship with me.